Hello, welcome to another rambling episode where health issues are delaying other projects. I'm talking about whatever comes to mind, so my channel has content. I'd like to address the concept of cultures and societies being static, or thought to be. If you haven't seen the film Soylent Green, brief TLDW recap. World overpopulated and polluted, masses fed with a solution called Soylent Green. Investigator finds out Soylent Green is being made by recycling human corpses. There, that's the movie. Dead people are recycled to attempt to control starvation problems. In whatever society or culture you live in, you have a variety of established cultural norms, and with those come a bunch of rules that everyone just sort of accepts. Maybe it's something you adjusted to in the course of living your life, maybe it's what your parents taught you was considered polite or cultured, quote-unquote, but there are various rules which impact our day-to-day lives. In Western society, why do women wear pants but men usually don't wear skirts? Because. Why are female nipples often censored, but male nipples aren't? Because. And as creatures that base a large portion of their self-identity on the culture they live in and their actions and behaviors relative to the culture in question and the culture's expectations of them, sometimes humans experience difficulty removing themselves from one culture and trying to examine a situation from another culture. This seems to be a fairly universal problem. The reaction of the investigator in the film upon discovery that Soylent Green is made out of dead humans is one of shock, but is that even a remotely realistic reaction to such a society? Picture today's food shortage and famine issues growing completely out of control to such an extent that you would fear for the safety and survival of your immediate family and children unless they take daily doses of a dietary supplement called Soylent Orange. Normal food like bread or strawberries are rare treats for special occasions and not something any normal person could ever expect to live on. And after living in those conditions for 15 years or so, you happen to come across a small FutureTube conspiracy video that talks about how all the corpses that keep disappearing into the Soylent Orange production facility are probably related to the production of Soylent Orange in some way, even though that's probably been rumored for a few years already. And suppose a few years later, some corporate executive offhandedly remarks, accurately, that the recycling of corpses is essential to many families' safety and security, and without Soylent Orange, many would face starvation. Do you honestly believe a society that has such a high, socially recognized dependency on Soylent Orange would have protests in the streets about banning Soylent Orange? Do you honestly believe there would be thousands of parents filling the streets holding signs saying, "I would rather my children starve than eat Soylent Orange"? Perhaps in today's Western world, where no one has direct family members dependent on Soylent Orange for survival, there might be such a reaction, but in cultural conditions where food shortage is that rampant, do you honestly expect people to react with protests asking the government to let their families starve? And what about the new generation? Tack on 20 or 30 years, and a lot of the modern young adults will have lived their entire lives in this world where food is nearly non-existent, and most people get by on Soylent Orange. Some of them may have never had a taste of quote-unquote real food at all. Don't you think some of them would have the reaction of course Soylent Orange is people. That's common knowledge. Corpses go into the Soylent Orange factory, Soylent Orange comes out. I thought everyone knew that. How do you think this new generation would react to the old 60 or 70-year-olds complaining about the good old days where people had meat and bread? For that matter, how many will blame them for ruining the economy or some such? As comforting as it is to believe, cultures which become a part of so many humans' lives, many people judge their self-image largely dependent on moving goalposts. The standards will change either in large ways or in small ways or in ways that appear large to some and smaller to others fairly often. To a young adult who's lived his entire life on Soylent Orange, he may not even perceive it as anything worth getting upset over. With so many other things to be concerned about, like the associated rising crime and housing concerns and the like that would probably come about with massive food shortage, would he even consider the ethical ramifications of Soylent Orange worth any consideration at all? Are you afraid the Amish are going to gain control over the northern United States and conduct numerous terrorist attacks? Do you go to bed each night quaking in fear that the Amish menace will come to your home and force you to destroy your apartmental office chair, and the mighty Amish cultural revolution will impose wooden chairs on all under their light brown tyranny? Do you hear politicians promising to build you a wall, a great wall, north of Cincinnati to control the Amish scourge until we can figure out what the hell is going on. No, that's a preposterous idea. There are so many other concerns the average Westerner has in day-to-day life that the affairs of the Amish are not something the average person is going to concern themselves with. Why would you when there are so many more imminent threats just to having a home to live in and a stable job? And how much more so in a famine-stricken dystopian society reliant on Soylent Orange? How many of these cultural values that many hold so dear would still be on the table not just for the first handful of years, but really for a protracted span of time throughout society-changing catastrophes? I'm thinking they'd change pretty heavily. Thank you for listening to me drain a little bit more hope and sanity out of your soul, and try not to purchase meat from unsavory sources if you visit food shortage areas in Africa, Syria, or Lebanon if you can avoid it. See you next time!